The paper deals with decolonizing participatory design, particularly focusing on memory making in Namibia. The project focuses on two or several questions around participatory practices and post-colonial discourse, particularly how we can ensure that our PD approaches and methods contribute to decolonizing design in practice. The decolonizing design discourse focuses on the fact that far from being universal, design practices are still inherently based on Western epistemologies and are applied in developing countries and with marginalized communities, people with little power, without much consideration for local knowledge systems. So Escobar and Schulz, for example, argue that only through the inclusion of marginalized perspectives can we break out of our own colonized minds and manage to achieve plurality in design. There have been several research contributions within HCI and PD that have recommended us to focus on decolonizing discourses, but we still lack very much in participatory design to apply these things in practice. We do see that PD aligns very well with constructs of decolonization. For example, we have Muller's concept of the third space that everybody knows very well, and the creation of hybrid spaces between designers, technologies, and developers. That is a focus of our practices. But if we look at PD practices, often there is a lack of consideration of cultural situatedness and the underlying ontological entanglements, leaving us with a gap in the theoretical and the methodological approaches, so that we don't actually see very many decolonizing approaches in practice.
To give examples of how we use decolonizing design methods in practice, we worked with 10 Namibian born-frees. These are the youth born after Namibian independence in 1990. In our research, we used design anthropology and situated participatory design methods. We conducted multiple workshop sessions in which we aimed to explore everyday memories of colonialism. In a role-play exercise, the youth share their lived experiences of being born-free. Some express how they are often told that they are too young to be engaged in meaningful colonial discussions or to take up leadership roles. One of the youth workers shared that even though he is born free, he doesn't really feel free considering the discriminations against his ethnic group to date. This brought us to the question, are the born frees really free even though they are born in an independent country? In another workshop, to set commitment goals and plan for what we want to achieve from June to October 2019, the youth agreed among themselves to work towards a goal of being agents of today for tomorrow, first by exploring memories of colonialism in their everyday life, deconstructing how these memories are affecting them and their relation to the colonial past, and later on creating an exhibition as a platform to engage a larger audience in post-colonial matters. We conducted more workshops probing the everyday and using archived images relating to the colonial past, at the same time matching them to the present issues. By analyzing together, the youth became aware of the intricate connections of current issues to colonialism. The youth were mostly interested in sharing oral stories. Most of the sessions even ended up taking longer than originally planned. These sessions show the entanglement of the youth in the constructed representations of the past, the present experiences of colonial legacies, and the lack of agency to process it in a critical and free manner. With the aim of positioning the research with the youth in an ongoing debate of decolonization in Namibia, we engaged a group of local discourse contributors in a decolonization workshop. The workshop provided a platform where experts from different disciplines came together to discuss, share experiences on applying decolonizing methods in their work. The key takeaways from this workshop were the extreme distinct conceptualization and understanding of decolonization, and that there are isolated efforts linked to decolonization in Namibia, such as from the local artist and the reintroduction of indigenous languages in schools. However, decolonization efforts in Namibia are faced with different challenges, such as from the local communities favoring collaboration with the foreign researchers and the local researchers. The group also argued that most research methods are Western and not situated, which inherently reproduces new forms of neocolonialism.
So what have we learned? On a practical level, we need to expand the third space to a safe space. While participants in the third space express fears and concerns about authorities, share pressure of expectation, and engage in critical reflection about colonial past and post-colonial present, in the safe space, they can overcome the fears and concerns about repercussion, engage in self-reflection and self-realization, and then freely engage in sensitive, highly political debates, deconstructing decolonization actions. It is further important that the sessions are facilitated by sympathetic insiders rather than empathetic outsiders. Also, the participants should share commitments and goals rather than being individuals. While in a third space, participants create futures based on the past, in the safe space, they can reimagine the past, present, and the future. We postulate that the designs created in the safe space could contribute to larger decolonization debates in Namibia and beyond. But the challenge is how to share the results with a wider audience without fear of repercussion. In conclusion, how can we contribute to the decolonization of PD? Firstly, we should be reflecting on methods and techniques. Methods are ingrained with values, assumptions, and generalized ideas that easily come to overshadow the situated cultural context of the participants. Decoloniality means to listen to the ones who have not been heard, and so PD must support the participants' takeover of content, form, and duration. Secondly, we need to close the gap between theory and practice. PD as an ontological practice needs to go beyond engaging in abstract discourses and relying on established methods and techniques enabling multiple voices in practice. Therefore, guided by the concepts of pluriversal design and decoloniality rather than post-colonial views, the focus should shift to delinking epistemologies through a transcultural and transdisciplinary dialogue and translating entanglements into design actions.